So I guess if we've discussed like what the key players in like album rollouts are, or what the difference in just album culture in India is and around the world is.
Yeah.
And I guess we've also discussed what's mainstream and why it isn't mainstream.
Is mainstream even important though?
No, I don't. So I guess one thing is, if you're just a listener and you like listening to them, I guess it doesn't really matter to you whether they're mainstream or not. But quantitatively speaking, I'd rather have artists who are sort of experimenting almost and doing it well. Artists who deserve those stops for the mainstream, I want them to sell more.
But that if you're the mainstream, you'll always be criticized. And it's not, so here's what I was actually talking about the Ron Karapa interview. There's this part where he asks him about, how his fans and his haters and stuff. And he says,
And I always used to think that मैं कितना cool हूँ, मैं तो ये सब सुनता हूँ, ये लोग तो ये सब सुनते ही नहीं.
Correct.
ठीक है? ये तो बस Jay-Z सुनता है, मैं तो Brother Lynch Hung सुनता हूँ और मतलब So it's like that is what people tend to do. And who do you do that to? You do that to whatever is popping, whatever is popular. You're going to look down upon it.
Correct.
Thinking that you're a purist.
Quick side note, the full episode of the podcast is now live on Spotify. We go much deeper into Desi pop as international hip hop. We talk more about beefs and album rollouts and mainstream culture and the dichotomy. Then we crave some desserts, so we ate ice cream while still recording. And then we named our top 5 rappers and top 3 albums of all time. Make sure you don't miss that. I'll leave the link in the descriptions. Go check that out.
So I guess if you're telling is mainstream important, I think quantitatively speaking, yes, I want good art to be more recognized than bad art.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I feel the biggest reason I would not listen to an indie artist in Desi hip hop, very restrictive to this genre, is the fact that I know I said that production is not the biggest thing that matters to me. Okay, I know I said that. But I said that when production is 95 and lyrics are 100 or 90 and 100. When you listen to indie artists or smaller artists, just with a few thousand followers and stuff like that, the production drops down to 70 or 80. And that is the biggest. I can't take this. The mix and master is not proper. The guy's off beat.
Like the consequences of telling that it's not important for them to get into the mainstream is that when you say something like that, and let's say that hip hop doesn't make it in mainstream, the fact is that you need something for sustenance.
Yeah.
Right? You need some form of earning. Let's say your music makes you enough for sustenance. The thing is that you still always have an aim to make it that much higher. But if you have a genre for which it's impossible to crack into the mainstream, the only people who will survive in that are people who are in it for, just they're in there for the musical reason. They don't really care about the money. Which is all fine and great, but for me, I think I would like this place to expand, where you're attracting more talent.
Definitely.
You're not losing talent. For which I think mainstream is cracking into mainstream is quite really important. Whether it be through the means of Bacha, or whether it be through the means of Divine Contact
as much as we criticize Banta or Bacha or Yohani Singh, or even King is this rapper who's been growing really rapidly over the past few years. He was one of the most loved contestants on a rap reality TV show, MTV Hustle, and he's probably the only one who hasn't fell off after that. But people say that he has this pretentious image of being, bringing a new sound to the scene, when he is not. And as much as we criticize all of these artists for doing that, probably Emiway is not bringing a new sound right now, but 5 years later, there's going to be some new artist which is going to come out with a new version of, some Emiway track or some Emiway sounding thing, and he's going to tweak it. And over the years, it's going to grow. So it's never bad.
So I think it's more about the image. Is that for somebody who's a newcomer into this, whether they may or may not respect whether it's Bacha or Emiway or whatnot, that doesn't really matter. The fact is that they've set an example that if you go into this line, there is a chance for you to make it big, earn shit tons of money. You can make it big, and they've set the example. Sure, the consequences of having someone like Bacha on the mainstream is that you'll have to change your style to make it more listenable to a larger audience. But that might not necessarily be the case 5 or 6 years down the line, and 6-7 years down the line, because I think that brings us to our next topic, is that, in my opinion, or from what I've seen, from the very limited knowledge that I have, Indian hip hop is still in its grassroots.
It is.
Yeah, which we're what, a decade in almost?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say probably 20 years, but not more.
1.5 or 2 decades.
1.5 decades in. So, from my knowledge, which is, I think, one Vox video and just general knowledge that I have.
Yeah, no, so from going...
Is that what? It's just hip hop around the world, started from its dancehall roots in, what is it, in the 70s, in the 60s, and you can find sort of traces of that with, you know, good little bit of wordplay here and there, more rhymes,
rhyme schemes, and
whatever that might be. But it took so long to get the Kendrick Lamars, to get the forget about Kendrick the J. Cole, they're more recent. To get the Rakims, to get the Parks, to get the Biggies, to get the Eric B's, to get the Wu-Tangs. Right? To get all of that, it took decades. We're still only a decade in.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact is that hip-hop everywhere else is cracked in the mainstream. I think it's just a matter of time that it cracks in the mainstream here, which means, I guess, more people listening to it, which I think will happen. Okay, so a general claim can be made that the majority of the listeners of Indian hip-hop are millennials and Gen Z.
Yes.
And coming generations will also focus on hip-hop. There's no doubt about it that it's going to crack. It's going to crack into the mainstream. Yeah. Right? It's just a matter of that can we prepone it? Yeah. Which is always encouraged.
And I mean, it is growing to the point where, Mass Appeal and Showtime, the two big companies in America, Nas is doing this thing where their hip-hop turns 50.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
They teased it. And in that clip, they have all these artists signed from across the world, and everyone has a 3-second spot, and one of the people having a 3-second spot is Divine. So he's the only Indian artist in that 2.5-minute video, which is a teaser for something really big to come, and he has put India on that map. So now when India is on an international map, it's going to grow even crazier.
And I think it's more of a idea that it's important for hip hop to break into the mainstream, because I guess we can make the general claim that a lot of hip hop artists or a lot of albums, not to say that pop albums and whatnot don't tackle social issues.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it that hip hop is the genre that tackles social, at least in India, is the one that tackles social issues more frequently. Whether it be critiquing the institution, whether it be addressing social issues like, let's say, the caste system or religion or just poverty as a concept, right? I think it's very evident that hip hop around the world addresses those topics more frequently than almost any other genre does.
Because hip hop naturally comes from this place of oppression where people find it as an outlet.
A lot of artists come from a place like a lot of artists who make art that is valuable. This is still like just a very vague sentence to tell, but there's no doubt about it that yes, there is a larger possibility of you coming out of less favorable situations and having a different perspective on something, which is what makes your perspective valuable in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? It is important for them to crack in the mainstream. Right? Like this.
But I think one of the biggest factors for Indian hip hop to grow beyond this point is going to be for rappers to drop that pretentious aura they have about them.
Oh yeah,
these fake gangsters, these fake portrayals of,
or just
renting
views.
out mansions and cars and shooting MVs is not important. I've seen indie artists grow because their art is good, not because they're MV.
In my opinion, it's also about like the fake woke narrative, like
the fake woke narrative.
Which I'm going to take names at this point. Your Hobsons, your NFs, and like not to say that all of their music is bad. It's just to say that at certain points J. Cole, I hate to say it, but at certain points J. Cole.
Yeah.
But if it was that simple, if it was that simple to solve, nobody would be doing drugs and nobody would be going to college.
Yeah, I get it. It's one thing that
and the other side is oversimplifying the problem. Is that you got addicted to drugs? Just don't do drugs. Just say no. What's the problem with that? Like if it was that simple, nobody would do drugs.
If you're homeless, just go
Buy a home. Yeah. It's just, if problems that simple, nobody would be home. Nobody would do drugs. There would be no poverty. I guess at the end of the day, both worldwide, but more importantly in India, the sky's the ceiling for hip hop, and there's so much more room to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously in his grassroots, there's no doubt about it, but there's so much more room to grow. There's so many different ways to go, like adopting a more sort of experimental way and whatever we discussed.
Yeah.
The only way is up, right? I guess.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with another guy yesterday about going forward. What's the plan? Just dropping more songs is not a plan, you know? What are the songs going to be about? And the one thing we could come to conclusion about, especially for mainstream artists, we were talking about, Raftaar and Krishna and how we love them a lot, and Karma and all these, Brother V and, 47, and rappers you hear in the mainstream a lot, at least in the mainstream of the niche, if I'm making sense. Yeah. We could come to the fact that all of them are coming out with this sort of a real peak or a real persona that they're showing. There's no pretentious person.
No, and also, I guess us as listeners, our duty would be, whether it be us as just people listening to hip hop or just talking to the general Indian set of listeners, is that, just go out there, experiment more, and if you like something, use word of mouth to spread it. Like, spread good art, listen to good art. Like, just open up your ears more, right? Like, whether it be listening to something in the format of an album rather than just singles, rather than just videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? That would be our effort as an audience, trying to sort of spread hip hop as it is.
Yeah. So we talk about a lot of stuff on the show, and none of it is scripted. Everything is just on the spot. So please don't cancel us. There's like a baseline audience you need to get cancelled, right? You just can't get cancelled.
Like getting cancelled is an achievement. Like, I've amassed enough attention that I can get cancelled.
When he got his first copyright infringement.
Oh yeah, I was so happy when I got my first copyright infringement. But then I realized it was a bot. It was an auto bot, and I was like, that's it. So my first copyright was on a Divine song. Kind of nice. Share this with your friends if you liked it. Follow us on Instagram.
Wear your seatbelts and don't do drugs.
मैं उड़ता अलग से जैसे hummingbird. You're done and dusted, never trusted, always twisted. मैं तो so destructive, पूरी beat में फाड़ दूँ. Shit, that's injustice. Cyclone मेरी bars, I leave you gusted. Drill o'clock, come up, clock them all. Big dogs, RP go bite them all. Drill पे उमर से cyclone, 150 miles spin your world around. Drill o'clock, come up, clock them all. Big dogs, RP go bite them all.